So I want you to just imagine in the future that the files are in the folder, but you're not participating directly anymore. The script or the bot is doing most or all of what I just described. So it's able to fit parameters, a bit like in Keith Mattern's case. It's able to make predictions of scale up. Like if it was the filtration model, it can tell me how the filtration is going to scale. It's able to optimize conditions, tell me the next best way to run my chemistry. It's able to generate reports, reams of data if I want that about my model. But all of this is happening without our human direct participation. In fact, this may well be happening at the weekend. We're having fun somewhere, or we're busy somewhere else in the company doing something else, and this bot is chundering through modeling activity. What makes that possible is a new feature in Scale-up Suite 2 that works with both Dynachem and Reaction Lab models. It's called Run Script Automation. That is basically the capability to invoke all of the screens that you would use with a model in order to, in an automated, reproducible, repeatable manner, execute fitting, predictions, optimization. So that's the kind of magic here that makes this folder able to do these things. I'll just park the question of how the files got in the folder for a minute. We will come back to that one a little bit later. So very simple kind of incremental value add would be, once this parameter fitting and maybe optimization, maybe equipment characterization, whatever it is that the model needs to do in the folder, the results of that could go via a script directly into somewhere useful like your ELN. I didn't want to mention Office 365 and hard drives and all the places where data and models do live, because it's such a messy landscape. So I picked an ELN because it feels like it might be a good place from a team and a enterprise point of view for this information to end up. So probably today you grab those models and you put them in the ELN in the place where you want them to be, but there's definitely no reason why that little step couldn't also be automated. Not terribly interesting, but potentially useful. You come in on a Monday morning and your model is finished and the parameters are fitted and you know what the next run should be in the lab, and it's all in your ELN. It's a nice idea. Maybe slightly more exciting. Obviously you have labs as well. They're filled with all kinds of equipment. I'm showing a little EasyMax there, but that's just a for instance. It could be an Amber 15 or any other thing that you use to collect data. So a slightly more evolved version of this folder would be that it's waiting for data, and a script, when an experiment finishes, generates a CSV file or maybe an XML file or something similar and drops that in the folder. Don't be hung up on the idea of the folder. I'm just using it as a metaphor for the data somehow meets the model. So that's another level up. We now have no direct sort of human involvement in even grabbing the data that's going into the model, and that again is an example. Keith's work is an example of doing that. Building the excitement just a little bit more. Let's say that was a set of experiments on a reaction, maybe a liquid-liquid reaction, Schottenbaumann maybe, and the data were pumped into the Schottenbaumann Reaction Lab model. The parameters were fitted or refitted, no human involvement in any of that. And then the Schottenbaumann model was opened in optimization to find out the next good experiment to do. It's certainly not going to be long before we can close the loop right back to the EasyMax or whatever lab equipment, Unchained Labs, whatever it happens to be that you're using to run that experiment. So now we've got quite a virtuous circle on the left-hand side of our chart. We've got data flowing from the lab to the model. We've got the model figuring out what the next experiments should be, sending those back for execution. It's just another level up from what we had before. And the final piece I want to just sketch up here for now is, where did those models come from in that folder? Obviously by and large today you have to make them in a manual fashion, but some of it can certainly be digitalized. And right now in your ELN, you probably have most of the chemical structures you're going to use. In your reaction model, you probably have a lot of the experimental conditions. You probably have a lot of the experimental data. There's no reason in the world why a script couldn't grab that information from your ELN and serve up the model that's required in the folder.